Good morning. We're going to go ahead and get started. We want to thank you so much for a lot of things, but the first thing we would like to thank you for is your patience getting into the parking lot. It's the first year we've held this event live, and secondly, it's the first time we've had it obviously here in this location. So we will do better with parent drop-off lines next year and making certain the doors are clearly marked as to which one you should enter. So thank you for being so patient. Again, good morning. I'm Shannon Cox. I'm the superintendent of the Montgomery County ESC, and I welcome you here for the 21-22 Schools of Excellence in Prevention Celebration. And it's so wonderful to actually see people in person. I hope you're having a wonderful start to the school year like we are. It just has a whole new feel to it. So thank you for being here. The Schools of Excellence in Prevention program is really something very special because it was born out of a collaborative partnership. And we take our partnerships at the ESC very seriously. We take great pride in the fact that you, our school district partners, trust in the programs and the services that we provide. We take our mission of visionary leaders providing exemplary service, again, very seriously. But on the other side, we have to have community partners to help us provide those exemplary services to and for you and alongside of you. So one day, BC, before COVID, Jess and I were sitting in an office with an Adamus staff person, and her question to us was, we know schools are doing so much, but we have so many other resources that could be so impactful to student health and well-being, family health and well-being, overall staff health and well-being. Can you help us get more of these services into schools? And of course, Jess and I were like, well, of course we can, because that's what we do. So we sat at this round table, and I said, once upon a time, I was a building principal, and we used to apply for this award that was about nutrition. And there was a menu of things that we could do, and when you got to a certain point, you got a certain award. It was that easy. But the amount of resources that it takes to put something in place in the school is where you all come in. So coming up with the idea, birthing it with Adamus as a collaborative partner, finding the resources to put things in play, having those prevention programs ready to go, that actually is the easy part. It was the easy part. Today, we are here to celebrate and recognize the hard part, the work that you all have put in to each of your buildings. Whether you're getting the highest award or an award today, whether you're getting your first award or one of many little placards that will go on your bigger plaque back at your districts, we are just so happy to recognize your hard work on behalf of the healthy humans on the inside of your school building. Again, I have said this over and over again. I will say it over and over again 1,000 more times. This community is special. We believe in collaborative impact. We believe in collective impact. And it is with partnerships like we have with our Adamus board and the staff members that are on the inside of their walls that help us do magical things for our community. It's one example of how this community really pulls together and says, we can do better on behalf of kids. I'd like to introduce Helen Jones-Kelly to come up and give a few opening remarks. It has been a tremendous pleasure to get to know Helen over the last, we'll just say for a while now. She is like-minded, she is like-missioned, and she, another female leader who believes in making certain that we do the best that we can for our community each and every day. Helen, it is a true honor and privilege to partner with you. Thank you.
The honor is mine. Thank you all so much, and thank you, Shannon. She speaks truth. I think we have found ourselves joined at the hips in ways that we never would have expected because we share so many values around how we serve our children, and we understand that when we're serving our children, we're serving our families as well. And we're helping to build a level of strength and resiliency and just that opportunity for people to have what we have, right? Access to things that are important to maintaining and supporting our families in the community. So y'all, I've been around a long time. And never in my career experience have I seen our educational system so misunderstood, yet so necessary. And how do we continue to build these partnerships that help our decision makers, our policy setters, and our communities really understand where the value is in serving our youngsters? And that's what makes this partnership so rich, because it has so many community stakeholders engaged in the work. But the real noodle around this is the work that you're doing, because our youngsters are spending a good part of their day with all of you. And I'm going to tell you this, and this is just an aside, if I ever hit the lottery for millions and millions and millions of dollars, I'm pouring it into the educational system, because I truly understand and appreciate what happens during that time each day with our youngsters as they're building relationships with you and sometimes bringing things to you that they would never take to anyone else, including sometimes their own parents. I know the difference that you make. But I'm especially impressed by the difference that you've been making through this particular program, because you've stepped up above and beyond the minimal expectations that anyone could have in terms of the way that you really have been pouring yourselves into our youngsters. And it makes such a difference because they're dealing with things that many of us would never have had to deal with in a school setting, ever. We wouldn't have even thought about it. They're dealing with things on a daily basis that makes them come to you with more than a book bag. And because of that, and because of this level of partnership, and because of you at its core, doing the work to continue to improve the quality of connections and services to our young people, you, in many cases, are changing their trajectory. So many young people would not be able to be as successful as they're being without the interaction and the commitment to this particular partnership as we look for other ways in which to really build in values and build in the necessary knowledge within our own systems around how to serve even better and to meet them where they are. I carry a picture of my second grade teacher, Frida Masters. Frida Masters changed my life. She was actually my first and second grade teacher. And she made a difference because she did those things kind of organically. I was one of the few African American students in my elementary school. And Mrs. Masters somehow understood some of the challenges that I faced as a young child in that setting. And she did those things that would have been considered, oh, we can't do those now. She invited me into her home. She spent extra hours working with me. She spent extra time giving me limelight when she saw where my strengths were beginning to emerge. And the main part about Mrs. Masters was she got me. She got me. And in a situation where I could have honestly been marginalized, I was invited in. And I get to stand before you today because someone like that took time with a child who might otherwise have just lived out the statistic. So that's what you're doing with this program. You're taking time to give yourself the extra knowledge and learning about how to get our kids, all of our kids, because they all come with something. You're spending the time to be able to meet them where they are and to think about them beyond being in your classroom on a daily basis. What are the tools and the tips and the talents and the resources and the love that you're pouring into every piece of this program that will one day allow them to stand on a stage and say thank you? Because I say thank you very often to Mrs. Masters. She's up there, but she's part of the team that made a difference in my life. I thank you all so much because every day you're making a difference. Every day you're making it better for all of our children, and you're doing it at a time when our system is less understood, but certainly if people could step into this room, step into our schools, and see what's really going on there, they would know that you are part of the most important fabric that's serving our youngsters. I thank you, Shannon, and your team, because you all have made a huge difference. I value this partnership. I see other of our community stakeholders out there, and Shannon's absolutely right. We're all about community collaboration and community impact, but we couldn't do it without you. So thank you all so very much.
Thank you, Helen. I'm Jess Davies, the director of the Montgomery County ESC SEL team, and it is so awesome to actually be here in person with our Adamus friends and all of our district friends and our SEL team members after all these years of our Zoom awards ceremonies, which were okay, but this is really nice. So thank you all for being here, and thanks to our friends who are on the live stream. Amy, are you with me? This is the tech. This is the part where we go, please let this work. So Amy Burr, who is the SEP coordinator, there she is. Hi, Amy.
Hello, everyone.
So Amy is joining us via Zoom, and many of you know her well. She is really the heart and soul behind this program. I'm not sure what that was, but that's okay. We're going to have fun with this, and we're here to celebrate. So I'm just here to briefly explain a little bit more about the SEL team and what we do. I think most of you know most of it, but also just to give a little bit of context to this work, and then I'm going to let Amy share about the SEP program, and then we'll get to the fun part. So this is our SEL team, and you can see we're made up of so many different folks with different backgrounds. We're going into year 5. We have 70 people on our team. I can't believe that. About 5 years ago, our visionary leader over here said, we need to do more. We need to do more. Our schools are struggling, mental health issues are struggling, and they need help, and we need to put a team together. And so that's a short version of how that happened. Little did she know we would really be needing it about a year and a half into our team in 2020. So we focus on the whole child, and I know you all have seen this many, many times, and we focus on supporting the whole child, the whole educator, and the whole school community around mental wellness. And as you can see on the outside, families and community really are about that. We all have seen that model, but it's, I think today in this room with our Adamus friends, it's really showing how it really works. This isn't just a community partner that comes once a year with a table, right? These are our true partners, and we've done some great work together. So a little bit more about what that means when you're thinking about the whole child is these 5 tenets, and I think this is really the foundation of the work that we all do. Because if students aren't coming in feeling, first of all, being healthy physically and emotionally, feeling challenged, but also having success, having support, feeling like they belong, what Helen just shared with your teacher, that's so special, and feeling like you belong and you're included, being engaged in relevant work, and then number 1 is feeling safe. Physically and emotionally safe, because we know our neuroscience friends tell us if we don't feel that way, our brains aren't opened for business. We can't learn. So our team is really focused on helping students and helping schools create environments where students can hopefully have more of a stronger foundation, so their mental health and their physical health is better. And not only the whole child, but we're really focusing on the educators and the adults, and actually all of you in this room, because we know that our adults are stressed, and our adults it's tough, and the past years have been really tough. And so if the adults, like the leaders in these rooms, and our teachers and our staff, aren't healthy, safe, supported, they're not gonna be able to be the best they can be for our students. So that's really the key to the work, and I promise this isn't depressing, it might be, but I'm gonna talk a little bit about the current state we're in with the mental wellness in our country. I feel like although we're here to celebrate, and I promise we will get there, if we don't acknowledge where we are, and we would be remiss, especially in a room like this with all this work we're doing. It's really the why we're doing it. And there are forces out there, not out there, out there, that really are questioning, and I'm just gonna say it, are fighting against this work, are fighting against mental wellness, social emotional learning, prevention services in schools, and it's unfortunate. So I feel like we all need to be armed with the statistics of what's really happening out there. So very briefly, just to kind of go over a few items, and again, I'm preaching to the choir, but 1 in 5 children experience a mental health disorder in this country. It's probably higher now. That was from 2020. 37% of high school students have feelings of sadness or hopelessness. That's a lot. And as you can see, there's other subgroups that are struggling even more so. According to the ACEs study, 20% of kids before the age of 18 experience sexual abuse. 28% experience some kind of physical abuse, and that study's been repeated over and over with similar results. I know you can't read the numbers here, I'm sorry, but this is Dayton Children's mental health resource referrals. So back here in 2013, about 998, 2021, over 8,100. And recently, because of the generous funding from the Montgomery County Adamus Board, we were able to provide surveys through Panorama to many school districts in Montgomery County. And some of the information that we gleaned from that, this is one example that 43% of 6th to 12th graders answered favorably about their school climate. So of course you can do the math of the amount that did not answer favorably. And then another question or topic, I should say, from that survey was around sense of belonging. Again, feeling safe and supported and that you belong. And 36% of them answered favorably. So as the director of social emotional learning, that's upsetting, but honestly, as a parent of 4 kiddos and a community member, that's really upsetting. It's really upsetting, thinking about my 2nd grader who still loves school and has a great teacher, but what's gonna happen as she continues down and she's one of the other percent that doesn't feel like she belongs. And then lastly, you all know this, but it's just staggering. So the leading cause of death for our kids is that they take their own lives. Okay, so I said, I know this is a celebration and I'm laying it out there, but I do just feel like we need to do that. So we're all armed with that information when people are questioning, why are we doing that? Why do we have that prevention program in our schools? So the good news is that there's tons of research, neuroscientists, and there's best practice out there that we know works. We're not just making this up. For the prevention science coming out of SAMHSA, this works. And so we are so lucky. I don't know, Amy, if you can go through a couple slides here. This is about the adults and how stressed out they are. 90% of teachers experience burnout. But bottom line is, if we get to this, these are all the different agencies we work with that show us the science that this actually works, and we're able to put it in play because of ADAMIS, because of the funding that we receive. And we know that when schools are implementing these programs and spending the time, and I'm gonna call out our friends in Miamisburg, they actually have a sense of belonging goal as part of their district strategic plan. I mean, that's really great. That's what this is about, and we know it works. And so you can go ahead, Amy, to support the mental wellness of our students. And the next slide just again shows all the great stats that it's good to have to know that this works. It increases academic scores. And wouldn't it be nice if the future leaders of this planet actually were mentally well, had better mental health, had less substance abuse? You guys are laughing, right? Whatever side you fall on, I think we could all agree our planet leaders could use some help. And we laugh, but this is the work that we're doing. And again, as a parent, that I feel very grateful that I'm able to do that work with all of you. And so lastly, before I turn it over to Amy, again, just that partnership with ADAMIS, because everything I just listed, all the research, all the best practice, it takes a lot of money. It takes a lot of resources. And a huge majority of our team and many of the providers that are here today and working with your districts are funded through the ADAMIS board. So we are eternally grateful for that. It wouldn't happen. And there's a lot of counties out there in Ohio that we meet with that don't have anything like this partnership. It's very special. So with that, I again thank you for all the work that you're doing, and I'm going to turn it over to Amy, who again is the heart and soul behind the program, and she's going to dig into what do these awards really mean, and then we'll start celebrating each of you. So thank you very much.
Oh, I muted myself. Goodness gracious, after a few years, I still can't get used to the mute button. But thank you, Jess, for that nice introduction, and thank you to Shannon and Helen for your wonderful remarks. And I'm just gonna echo the sentiment that Jess left with. Shannon described how this program came to be just a few years ago. And it was really an idea in an office at ADAMIS about, partnering together and really making sure that schools know about and have access to all of the programs and services that are available in the community. And we have so many. And it has been my absolute pleasure over the last few years to work on developing this program, to have met all of you who are so committed to serving children and serving families and serving one another across our community. And I am so proud of how this program has developed over the last few years into what it is today. And many of you have heard me talk about this before, and a lot of you are like, yeah, we know what SEP is. But I really just want to revisit that, especially in light of some of those statistics that Jess was talking about. We are so lucky and blessed here in Montgomery County. Schools of Excellence in Prevention is really our own very special whole child model. The entire mission behind the program is really about, of course, students and serving students and making sure, like Helen mentioned, that someday they can stand on a stage and speak their truth and share their voice. But also, we know that to create happy, healthy students, we have to have happy, healthy families and happy, healthy staff who can serve those families and students. And that's really what Schools of Excellence in Prevention is all about. And I always like to revisit this as well, because as we were creating the program and discussing how it was going to work, we knew that we had to use processes that were evidence-based, of course, to make sure that we were serving students and families with things that had evidence behind them that were going to make a difference in some of those statistics. So many of you know this, but those of you in the audience who do not know this, we use a planning process. We take a look at data. We use needs assessments. Every school who is represented here today has a team of folks who are working together, who are analyzing that data and putting a plan in place to address the needs and the gaps that they see in their data. And then, of course, in step 3, I think is one of the most important, because that's where all of our partners in the room come in, all of our services and supports from the Adamus board, from our prevention providers in the community and the Montgomery County Prevention Coalition. All of us work together to help schools address some of those gaps and to provide those resources. And then we get to evaluate, are our programs and services and strategies working to make a difference in some of those statistics that we're seeing. And as many of you know, those of you who are Schools of Excellence in Prevention participants, it is not easy to achieve these levels, because there are 9 different categories where each and every school building has to address programs, services, and strategies, and they need to be based in evidence. To address the whole child, whole educator, whole community, we have to have things in place for students and those adults in the buildings, like we talked about, our educators and our families. We have to have data collection measures in place to ensure that what we're doing is working and that we're spending time and resources on the things that are going to have an overall impact. So schools are encouraged to use surveys, like Jess mentioned, the Panorama survey, student mental wellness screenings, just to make sure that we're not missing any underlying issues. And we also know that very often policies and procedures, things like punitive discipline policies, can actually exacerbate mental wellness issues and cause stress in students. Whereas if we use more restorative policies, we can actually mitigate some of those mental wellness issues in the immediate future and later on in life for students. So that is part of Schools of Excellence in Prevention as well. And of course, community partnerships, both the school having a place in the overall community that they serve and having community partnerships come to the table to contribute to the overall plan that schools are developing to serve the whole child, whole educator, and whole community. And then at the top there, you'll see the prevention or mental wellness plan. And that kind of goes back to that planning process that I just talked about. To achieve higher levels in the program, schools have to actually set a goal and achieve a goal within the school year to achieve certain levels. And so there are level awards, which many of you know and take advantage of. And we'll get to digging into some of these. So really, what does it mean to be a platinum school, a bronze school, a silver school, et cetera? But it's one thing to look at these visuals and see them on the screen, but it is another thing entirely to actually see this work come to life. And many of you in the audience are school participants and you are doing this work, but I wanted to be able to share a few school stories with you today. So I'm going to have Jamie Neely from Brookville. I have a video here to share with you. And she's going to tell you a little bit more about how Schools of Excellence in Prevention has come to life at Brookville Local Schools.
So the Schools of Excellence and Prevention program has really helped our district create best practice prevention programming that is research-based and best practice to help support the needs of our students, our staff, and our families in our school community. I just really, from the bottom of my heart, appreciate everything the SEP program has done for our district. It really, truly created a roadmap for how do we implement prevention programming to help our students, help our staff, help our families, our school community. And we were doing prevention programming before Schools of Excellence, but that fell short. And now I feel like we're truly implementing a holistic program that is making big changes to our community. So the Schools of Excellence in Prevention program really gave us a carefully crafted framework in order to plan best practice prevention services for our school district and our school community. As part of that, we created goals that were data-driven and use best practice research-based prevention strategies. We really looked at how do we prevent or include prevention with peer-to-peer engagement, student education, parent education, staff development, as well as we looked at our community partnerships like those that we have with Dayton Children's to best address the needs and the things that our families and our students really need in our district. As part of that, we looked at school policy. And one thing that really stood out to us is we didn't have a lot of suicide prevention programming, which is what led our district counseling team to push for QPR, or question, persuade, and refer training for all of our staff. So what we did last school year is we started rolling out QPR training, and that kind of inspired me and made me very passionate about becoming a QPR instructor myself. So as a certified QPR instructor, I could help train staff, as well as our 7th through 12th grade Hope Squad members. And so far we have a majority of staff trained from the spring, and I plan on training a lot of the other staff members this fall as well.
Story, and I think it's a great story, and many of you in the audience have similar stories to how Schools of Excellence in Prevention has really helped you to think about how you're implementing mental wellness strategies and prevention strategies for families, students, and staff. And we're going to get to the awards here in just a minute for all of your hard work and all of that implementation. But I just wanted to briefly cover what it means at each level to earn an award in the Schools of Excellence in Prevention program. So for those schools today who have earned the bronze level, that means that they are providing prevention across the school community. So they have implemented at least one, if not more, strategies, programs, or services that are evidence-based prevention, mental wellness related, social emotional learning related for students, for staff, and for families. And I think that's a huge accomplishment because, like Helen mentioned, school students are showing up with more than just a book bag. And we need healthy adults in the building. We need informed adults. We need informed parents and healthy parents ready to care for the needs of our students. So bronze level schools are addressing all of them. A silver level school basically broadens their focus on more comprehensive prevention. So they have the same commitment to addressing all of those needs of families, students, and staff, but they also address peer-to-peer engagement, which is an evidence-based prevention strategy where we use and elevate peer voices in spreading positive messages related to mental wellness across the school community. Silver schools also examine at least one policy or procedure related to student mental wellness, behavior, or substance use. And in addition to that, they are asked to attend the ESC's Prevention Services in Schools training to learn more about the science behind prevention and how it works. That way they are armed with all of the information they need to implement evidence-based prevention across the school community. Gold level schools are taking that deeper dive into comprehensive prevention. So they implement all of the silver requirements. They increase the numbers of services and programs that are provided for students, families, and staff. But at the gold level, they must also implement student mental wellness screenings. They must also implement surveys like culture and climate surveys, and those surveys could be for families and for staff as well, in addition to students. And they use the information collected from those screenings and surveys to set a goal and make decisions around student wellness. They also have to examine one policy or procedure, attend the ESC's Prevention Services in Schools training, and gold schools have to participate in community partnerships for student wellness and complete the Ohio K-12 Prevention Self-Assessment to analyze their overall strengths and needs in their mental wellness system. And last but not least, to achieve the platinum level, not an easy feat, they have to stay committed to all of those pieces that are part of bronze, silver, and gold levels, but they have to increase again the number of services and strategies that they are providing to families, students, and staff. They have to have 3 peer-to-peer engagement strategies, student mental wellness screenings, building-wide surveys. They have to address 2 school policies and procedures. And this could be implementing a new policy and procedure, or maybe mitigating or getting rid of an old policy or procedure that's outdated or not evidence-based. They collect data around student mental wellness through those screenings and surveys. And they set a goal around student wellness with a specific outcome for students, and they have to achieve that goal within the school year. And that's really what sets Platinum schools apart from the other levels, is making sure that they have evidence that that goal has been achieved. And then, of course, they also participate in community partnerships. They complete that K-12 prevention self-assessment and attend prevention training. So many of you have heard that before, and you can look at the website for all of the requirements, but I just wanted to make sure that I highlighted that because it's not an easy task to educate students to be responsible for academics. But in addition to all of those things that schools already do, staying committed to implementing these services and creating a true school that supports the whole child, the whole educator, and the entire community is a task indeed. And again, it has been my honor and my pleasure to be a part of this program over the last 2 years. And now I am going to turn it over to Shannon to issue all of the awards for all of the hard work that you all have done this year. And I am looking forward to hearing and seeing the cheers and the clapping, and also looking forward to working with all of you again as we embark on the 22-23 school year.
Thank you, Amy, and thank you for all of your hard work and your dedication. We know that it's one thing to be assigned a task and a duty. It's another thing to live it out and believe in it and be a champion and an advocate. And Amy, that is what you are. So thank you so much for the work that you do on behalf of our students. Okay, just a little housekeeping, because this is the time there's going to be some movement in the auditorium. As we go through each of the districts, you will see their awards up on the screen. I will read a little bit about them, but school districts, as soon as I say your name, I need your teams to enter onto the stage via this set of stairs. Tristan, I'm going to have you come up now. Tristan is going to be our Adamus representative because Helen had to leave for a state committee. She's a busy, busy woman. We're going to pause for a picture right in the middle of the screen. How about the middle of the stage? You could adjust yourself to the middle of the screen if you would like. But the middle of the stage, we'll take the picture, and then you're going to walk behind me and exit to this side, and then one representative of your school district will get your awards. We're actually going to have you hold just what we call a dummy award, so that it's just up here. Tristan will have it. But you're going to get your district-specific awards at the bottom of this stairs. And we're not going to ask who you are. We're just going to give it to you, and you can figure out who's supposed to have it when you get around back to your seats. All right? Because we've got to keep things moving. So, if we're good with all of that, have Tristan go ahead and get. Yep. All right. The first district that we have is Carroll High School. Carroll has seen tremendous impact on staff and students with the implementation of the prevention services. Notably, students know help is available and having it come from an outside source is a plus. We have a video for you.
I've gotten such great feedback from our kids they appreciate, and we just had a great example. We had a student come back who was in our program from break, and she immediately walked in and she said, are they coming today? And I said, I don't have them scheduled. I said, but I'll give a call and I'll see what I can do. And she's like, I really would love to talk to them today if that's possible. And sent one email, and within 3 hours we had her here. And Natalie was here, and it was amazing. And she was in a real struggle at that point, and she was able to really help her out. And that's the benefit of this. I think the biggest benefit is it's created for us an opportunity to really see the holistic picture of not only just drug prevention but treatment. Previous to coming here at this school, I was at another school where we did a lot of drug testing as well, and you understood who was a positive kid, but you never really got to the meat of the matter and what was behind the addiction or what was behind the usage. And through the benefit of the consistency with the ESC and the folks that come here and work with our students, we've really been able to kind of take a holistic approach, which is really a beneficial thing for not only our faculty to learn and understand, but also just for me as well as a person in charge of this to take that initiative on.
Carroll High School is the only private school within SEP in Montgomery County. Over the last few years, they have worked to develop policies that provide alternatives to punishment for student drug and alcohol use. Instead of using suspension and expulsion as first response, Carroll uses a network of prevention programs and provides mental wellness screenings to pinpoint the student's needs. In 2021, they instituted a parent mental health night for all families to educate parents on signs and symptoms of student mental health concerns and to discuss the prevention programs and supports that are available to students at the school. Carroll High School was not able to attend in person this morning, so Tristan and I will gladly accept this award on behalf of Carroll High School. Would you please join me in congratulating Carroll High School? Pay attention, see how they went down the steps, got their award? Okay. The Dayton Region STEM School. They've worked very hard to achieve platinum after spending a few years at the gold level. In 2021, they used prevention programs and mental wellness screenings and were able to meet their goal of reducing the numbers of students who reported dealing with anxiety, as well as increasing these students' ability to identify healthy strategies to help with anxiety. Please join me in welcoming and congratulating the Dayton Regional STEM School. Pathway School of Discovery. Pathway worked to maintain their implementation of the Castle Select program, Leader in Me. This program builds student SEL skills as well as used counselor-led Tier 2 and 3 student support groups, including a girls group, to help build leadership skills and manage interpersonal conflict and relationships. In the 22-23 school year, they will be implementing a youth-led prevention group to expand their peer-to-peer efforts for students. Please join me in congratulating Pathway School of Discovery. Next, we have the Montgomery County Juvenile Court System. MCJC is one of the few court systems in the country working to implement a court-wide, multi-tiered system of supports that supports the whole child. Each MCJC facility worked this year to expand restorative practices for youth and expand resources for employees to enhance their own wellness in order to better support the youth they serve. Please join me in congratulating the Montgomery County Juvenile Court. Good job, guys. We want you to bring the whole crew up. It's a picture opportunity. It's a team effort. Brookville Local School District. This is the very first year that each Brookville school achieved platinum, making them an all-platinum district. Using panorama data, they set district-wide goals that students would feel an increase in a sense of belonging in the classroom, as well as an increase in social awareness. Thanks to their strategic implementation of prevention, SEL, and mental wellness programs, each school in the district achieved both of those goals. They also developed a district-wide protocol that all staff receive QPR suicide prevention training. Please join me in congratulating the Brookville Local School District. They're very color coordinated as well. Centerville City Schools. Stingley Elementary is the first Schools of Excellence in Prevention school in the Centerville District and achieved the gold level in their very first year of participation. Stingley showed an intense commitment to providing training for staff in supporting the whole child, as well as providing families with mental wellness resources at a mental health night for families. Please join me in congratulating the Centerville City Schools. You'll get your real one. Dayton Public Schools. Mound Street Academy continues to show strength and determination in the SEP program. Last year, the staff at Mound Street took the time to write individual letters and cards to each student at the holidays. With the support of the ESC, Mound Street is also reinstating a staff wellness program in the 22-23 school year. Please join me in congratulating Dayton Public Schools. Kettering City Schools. The Kettering City School District has a long-standing commitment to supporting the whole child through strategic school and community partnerships. These partnerships provide resources to families in the entire community. The staff in Kettering has worked tirelessly to implement the Second Step program in a district-wide effort to support student social emotional needs at all tiers of their multi-tiered system of support. Both participating schools have increased their level over previous years. Please join me in congratulating the Kettering City School District. Thank you. Mad River Local School District. Mad River has been taking rapid strides towards systemic implementation of mental wellness services across their entire district, including collecting and using data around student mental wellness to make decisions about the needed services, and exploring how to use restorative practices to support students across the district. Several Mad River schools set and achieved the goal of increasing students' ability and skills to self-regulate their own behavior, particularly at the elementary level. All participating schools increased their award level this year from last year, and this is the first year that the district has had a platinum-winning school. Please join me in congratulating the Mad River Local School District. Congratulations. This one's near and dear to my heart. You ready? The Montgomery County Educational Service Center Student Programs. Over the last few years, the ESC's learning centers have taken a deep dive into educating staff through extensive training in trauma-informed SEL practices that support the whole child. They also worked this year to ensure that families had an increased connection with mental wellness resources that are available in our community. Please join me in congratulating the ESC. Although I've always heard taking pictures from that angle makes you not look the greatest guy. Somebody put that in the notes for next year. MCESC City Schools. Yeah. If there was a cheer award, MCESC would get it. MCESC City Schools has deeply committed to supporting the whole child, and that is evident in that nearly all of their schools reached the platinum level this year. They have also worked to expand their mental wellness supports for students and have committed to ensuring that all of their staff are trained in supporting the whole child through trauma-informed SEL classroom practices. Many of the MCESC schools also set and achieve goals, including increasing percentages of students who feel they have a positive relationship with their teachers, and increasing the percentages of students who feel safe and feel a sense of belonging at school. Please join me in congratulating the MCESC City Schools. Prevention services are needed. Period. End of sentence. As Melissa Eric explains, prevention services are crucial in our schools. As the crisis counselor for the New Lebanon schools, she sees firsthand the necessity for providing lifelines to students, staff, and communities. We have a short video for you.
It's called Your Path. Yeah, that's been probably, I'd say that and the NOT program, which I can talk about in a minute, has probably been the most impactful on our students. Your Path is there to help students understand some of the impact of living with addiction. And it could be their family, it could be someone they know, someone they love, and kind of what addiction means. And so that's a big deal with our students. I think it's a big deal with a lot of students around Montgomery County. This student in particular, she actually now, she's super successful, which is so nice, had already come back and told us how impactful the program was on her. Particularly, she felt like for the first time she wasn't alone in dealing with a family of addiction, because there's such secrets and things in that. And then she came back, I saw her at another building, and
she actually has been able to get custody of her siblings due to family factors and stuff. And then she asked me if that group was still happening because it had such a positive impact on her. She wanted her siblings to be a part of the program too because she knew that they needed it. They've really grown to be so helpful with us, and when I need something, I know that I can call them. If it's like a topic we need to talk to the kids about, or a resource or a connection with someone in the community, they're there. Yeah, we already have like a very supportive administration about bringing in programs and getting what the students need. And then we have a team within Dixie that we work together so well. It's like a family. And now I feel like that the ESC is now a part of that family. And that's really nice.
New Lebanon has used SEP to create a clear process to evaluate and strategically implement prevention and mental wellness programs that are most needed for families, students, and staff. In the 21-22 school year, they implemented data collection measures to provide more information about what students and families need, and then set that as a district-wide student wellness goal for the 22-23 school year. They have maintained their honorable district-wide gold status for 2 years running. Please join me in congratulating New Lebanon Local School District. When administrators get behind prevention, look out. Case in point is Englewood Hills Elementary in the Northmont School District, where the principal is a prevention services advocate.
So here at Englewood Hills, we have seen the true value of looking at the whole child, not just focusing on academics, but the whole child, and really zoning in on increasing our awareness of what the child is exposed to at home and whatever we can do here at school to reach the kid, whatever their needs are, reach them, because if we don't service those needs first, no education is going to happen. They're not going to blossom. We have to establish a nice relationship and a nice educational environment to where they trust us and are ready to learn from us. So some of the things we have done here at Englewood Hills is we're a trauma-informed school, so it took a lot of time for our teachers to get a lot of training, and we are now through the training to more of let's implement these practices, and our teachers now are very on high alert to, hey, I think this kid has a couple aces in their bag. Let's figure out how we can help this kid at home all the way to school so that we can get education started. And I think the biggest thing is that as staff, students, whoever, parents, we learn how to regulate ourselves and we're able to notice it. So even it's beautiful to watch another student observe another student who is dysregulated, and that student is able to pick up on it and say, ooh, he's in the red zone. What do we need to do to help support him to get back to the green zone? So even student has been very impactful out at recess, because then we see the whole community taking place where, oh, let me help you. Let me see what I can do to help you get back to where we can be at a normal level. So it's been very impactful. And the same way with the parents at home, like they implement this at home as well, and they're able to help service the kid, and they keep us in communication. So if they know their kiddo's having a hard time at home that morning, they give us a heads up, and then that way we start the day off right with that kiddo, knowing that we need to provide some tender loving care first thing in the morning so that we can start the day off well. So it's impactful. Again, I can't say enough about how much the Service Center has helped support us with our emotional needs here to help support our academic needs.
You can hear it in Katie's voice. And how about peer-to-peer co-regulation? Like, it just doesn't get much better than that. Northmont School District. is another district that has had a long-standing commitment to implementing supports for the whole child. They have used the SEP program to align these supports across the district. Last year, several schools in the district set and achieved admirable mental wellness goals for students that include reducing the number of students who are at risk for mental health concerns, increasing the number of students who feel they have a good friend at school, increasing the number of students who feel they have a positive relationship with their teachers, and increasing overall student happiness. At the high school, the staff sought to increase the number of gender nonconforming students who felt safe at school by placing a specific sticker outside the classrooms of staff who offer a safe space for these students. The strategy was overwhelmingly successful, and these students reported an increased sense of belonging by the end of the school year. Please join me in congratulating the Northmont City School District. Oakwood was all in with our SEP services last year, and from the elementary buildings to the high school, the impact was measurable. Please join me for a short video.
Our junior high and high schoolers were able to use such programs as Hope Squad, Visible and Resilient, Agents of Change, along with things for our families such as Triple P Parenting, newsletters, and our website. By utilizing some of these programs, I really believe it brought education to our students, along with allowing them to elevate their voices and be heard in terms of connecting with their other peers. Because as we know, that peer-to-peer prevention is really, really the number one thing that you want to embed within your school community. And in doing that, we also partnered with Youth in Leadership and Prevention, which allowed our visible and resilient leaders to really elevate their voice, make a plan, and come up with a prevention strategy to use within our building. And so our high school and our junior high students are now able to use our safe space garden that was created by our visible and resilient students as a place where they can go and they know they're going to be accepted and celebrated in that safe space. At our elementary buildings, we were able to build upon and continue with our Timber families, which integrates students grades 1 through 6 in an attempt to create building unity, introduce character education topics, and just build those bonds of collaboration within the building. We also were able to introduce and work with our 5th and 6th graders on peer mediation strategies, educate our students on anxiety topics, and help them build their own anxiety toolkits. Partner some of our groups and our leaders with our kindergarteners to do things like book buddies and science experiments. So overall, the ideas at our elementary really was born out of building connection, building belonging, and then introducing some of those topics of prevention so that when they get to junior high and senior high, they're very familiar with that process and can build upon those skills as well as integrate themselves into some of those groups.
Oakwood City Schools, this is the first year that all of the Oakwood schools participated in the program, and each school achieved the platinum level, making them another all-platinum district. Oakwood set an ambitious district goal to increase the number of students who felt they had at least one trusted adult and one trusted peer at school. Each building met this goal with flying colors. They were also one of 2 SEP districts who were awarded the Adamus-funded Youth Leadership in Prevention grant, and using these funds, the student group received prevention training and worked to develop an inclusive garden space, as you heard in the video, where all students can participate and feel safe. Please join me in congratulating the Oakwood City School District. We said all. That's right. Inclusiveness. Join our garden. That's right. Join the garden. Join our garden.
Always try.
You're welcome. It's called positive peer pressure. Trotwood Madison City School District. This was Trotwood's first year in participating in the SEP program, and it was an impressive first year. They had 100% participation in the district in this first year, and that all buildings achieved a level. They came out strong as a first-year SEP district, and it will be exciting to watch their work continue to unfold. Please join me in congratulating our newest district, Trotwood Madison City School District. All right. How about Valley View Local School District? The Valley View schools have significantly increased their award levels in SEP. They have dramatically increased the supports that they offer students, staff, and families, and they have worked to align their efforts at a district-wide level. They were also a recipient of the Adamus Youth Leadership in Prevention Grant. They used these funds to support their prevention group of 40 students. These students received training in prevention and worked to implement an ambassador program to make all students feel welcome. They also worked on creating a strategic plan for their efforts going into the 22-23 school year. Please join me in congratulating the Valley View Local School District. West Carrollton City School District. This is the first year that West Carrollton had 100% district participation in schools of excellence in prevention, and all buildings who participated before either maintained or increased their level. This is also the first year that the district has had a platinum awarded school. West Carrollton is not with us in person this morning, so Tristan and I, again, will be happy to accept their award. So please join me in congratulating West Carrollton City School District. Northridge Local School District. In the first year of their participation in SEP, Northridge achieved honorable mention in the program. But thanks to increased efforts, including implementing prevention programs, counselor support groups, resources for families, and other resources related to supporting the whole child, they have successfully leveled in SEP for the last 2 years. Please join me in welcoming and congratulating Northridge Local Schools. It was really a mistake, but we saved the home school district for last. Right, I'm looking at Jess. Am I good? Yeah. Okay. I got excited with my papers. All right. I'm going to actually invite Tristan to give just a few closing comments on behalf of Adamus, and then I will wrap us up and we will be out of here in the next few minutes. So Tristan, thanks for being a partner, and come on over.
All right. First, my name is Tristan Ball. I'm the Director of Prevention Services at the Montgomery County Adamus Board. I will say thank you to all of you that have participated in the program. Also, thank you for so many of you for meeting with me over the past several months and putting up with so many emails from myself and my staff and always being very responsive. It's so, so appreciated. I just want to share that what is happening in this room, what is happening in the districts in Montgomery County, this is not normal. I talk with colleagues around the state who are absolutely in awe of all of the work that the districts are doing here in Montgomery County. Jess had shared some statistics earlier, and I just want to say that I had met with a state partner, it's been a couple months ago now, that said, in Montgomery County, your number should be so much higher. You should have more of all of the other risk behaviors and all of those issues. We don't believe you, and to which I have referenced all of the work all of the school districts are doing. So while the numbers may seem a little deep, a little sad, just know that the work that you're doing is really impactful, and we are standing out. And I will say, just seeing the growth from this last academic year to the one previous is incredible. The amount of meetings Jess and I have taken with so many of you and your representatives in your school districts, it shows the fact that we are growing so much. The work that's happening in all of the school districts is so inspiring, and you're truly changing lives. We do so much at Adamus, but the truth is we could not do it without you. You guys are the ones that are the champions that are really making this work happen. So with that, I just want to say thank you. Feel free to always reach out. We're always a partner at the Adamus Board, and we are so grateful for all the work that you're doing for the kids.
So a couple of closing comments. First and foremost, let's just give all of you another round of applause. You're doing really, really good things on behalf of children. I would like to thank our SEL department for organizing and putting on such a spectacular event for us to not only be in person, but to really lift the work up that you are doing. So thank you, Jess and team. It is a large team, but man, are they a powerhouse. So thank you, Jess and team. I also want to thank our communications and tech folks here, Guy Fogel, Travis, who's up in the, what do they call that in theater? Up there. He's up there. And again, Amy Burr, she's just been a tremendous asset to the ESC and the work that has been happening. On behalf of my one board member who's here, Greg Schell, I would like to also just thank the commitment from your boards to allow you to do this work, because I know in some cases it can be sticky, it can be political, but when it's good work on behalf of students, I appreciate the fact that the boards of education make those decisions to continue to do that work regardless of the landscape. I would also like to say that it is an honor and a privilege every day to get to step into the work that we do at the ESC. But our vision statement is serving so students can be successful. As a one of many of the co-chairs of the Human Service Levy that we have in Montgomery County. Many of the funding opportunities that Adamus is able to provide us and other providers comes from that Human Service Levy. So thank you. It was renewed last fall. It was renewed, which means it's the same amount of money. And with the stats that you've seen on the screen, we clearly have a lot of work to do. But it is so great to be able to come in and celebrate with you about the work that you have done and the strategic goals that you have set to make certain that this work doesn't stop. And I know for certain that if the money went away, the people are still better off and they can still do good work on behalf of kids. So it's never about the money. It's about what we do to make this community better. And you guys have just done an amazing job, as evidenced all day today, or all morning this morning, by each of your stories. So please continue to do the good work. Again, on behalf of Montgomery County ESC, thank you so much for being great partners. Adamus, thank you for being, hey, listen, they run a tight ship and make us fill out a lot of paperwork and a lot of data, but it's worth it because of today's like today. Everyone, here's the really good part. There are cupcakes in the lobby, and we would love for you to mill around, network with one another. I know some of you have to get back to meetings, but please don't forget to take a cupcake on the way out. And thank you, thank you, thank you.